that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, clocked in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with my boys, Isaiah.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Gavin.
What is going on?
And today we are stoked as hell to go into our deep dive analysis video on Tower of God Season 2 of the Webtoon here. What's wrong?
What? I don't think they heard correctly. We're on season motherfucking 2.
Yes,
dude.
yes.
Oh my god.
It's been a long freaking time coming, guys, and for everyone who's stuck along with this, with us on this journey, thank you so much. If you didn't see it already, we had our first live stream as well, which was a blast to do. It was roughly about 2 hours long, and we went over chapters 80 to 88 or 89, if I'm not mistaken. It's episode 8. We're going to be referring to them as episodes from here on out. It'll make life easier. Episodes 1 to 8 is what we'll be covering in our deep dive today. So we're going to, we just read it before. Thank you for everyone who hopped in. If you're watching this, if you haven't seen it already and you want to check it out, you can check it out on our live streams. And we're going to hope to make like a highlight reel video, a condensed version of that as well. That's the hope, at least. So if we do, you could expect that up on our YouTube channel as well. So you got all different forms of content that you could pick from, however you prefer to watch and listen to us.
Or watch them all.
Or watch them all. That'd be great. And like them all. That'd be awesome as well for the YouTube algorithm. Smash like. But yeah, speaking of which, if you guys do enjoy the content today, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of this of these episodes, this read through, and our thoughts on it? And if you are listening on audio-only versions, make sure you are throwing us a follow on your favorite podcast platforms. And if you don't have us on socials yet, that is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Definitely throw a follow on there so you can keep up to date with live polls when we are going live on YouTube and updates, generally speaking, to the show. And lastly, if you don't have us on Patreon yet, that is patreon.com/AoA show, where you can receive exclusive benefits to the show. All those links are in the description down below. But anyway, without further ado, let's hop into this analysis. So we're going to be kind of skimming through it and kind of taking a deep dive on some of the more impactful scenes and characters and things like that as we move along. So the first thing we do is we hop right into the fifth floating castle of Jahad. So he's got at least 5 from what we can tell, right? God knows how many there are, but obviously it's like hella extravagant here, and we would only assume that these are where the princesses reside. I would maybe wager to say that there are 13 of them, being that this is the palace of Repastilla Jahad.
Yeah, I think it might be like they each have their own.
They each have
their own crib.
Floating, dude. That just sounds dope. Imagine being like, yeah, I got a floating palace just in the middle of the sky, and you're just like,
yeah, bro, dude, that princess gig is got the hookup, bro.
And you just play video games all day inside.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's the dream, though. Like, that's
for sure. As we shall see in a second. So Yuri rolls up to the castle, and we have our butler, who we have deemed his name as Aluminum because we didn't feel like saying his real name, even though it's really easy. We have the guards here that I was saying in the live reaction kind of remind me of the Red Guards from Star Wars that protect the Sith Lords, which was kind of cool to reminisce on that. So they all salute to Yuri Jahad, and they say their chant for the eternal glory or whatever of Jahad, and Yuri's just like, all right, like, can it? You know what I mean? So Aluminum welcomes.
It's just you took the time to reference the name and then say it correctly, only to then be like, I'm not saying that.
It's not fun. I like calling him Aluminum.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, so Aluminum invites her in, and then we get introduced to a new princess of Jahad, which is really cool. And this one specifically is from the Kun family. Yeah. So she comes down to greet Yuri. And she is the owner of the Yellow May. She is Kun Mascheni Jahad. So she already just has this demeanor like she's hot shit. She's clearly been here for a while, or at least, as compared to Yuri, because she makes jabs at her for being young, kind of mocking her, saying like, oh, give her a chocolate milk, or like something not too strong or bitter for her. And they kind of go back and forth. They have this banter. And then Yuri's kind of been like, "Oh, are you too old for this?" Blah blah blah. And it's like, they're just kind of like strutting their shit, like this very passive aggressive,
sisterly, sibling rivalry kind of.
Exactly right. So because they've been together for a while now, and obviously our butler here, Aluminum, is basically like, haha, okay, let me go get some stuff. And like, you guys are so adorable, because if they really decide to fight each other, like the whole castle would probably explode. So there's that. Anyway, he says, Yuri, why don't you move to the living room? I'm going to go get you some tea. That's where Miss Kuhn makes her comments to her. So basically, Yuri, which is funny, she goes, cafe mocha for me with lots of syrup, whipped cream. And he's like, I'll just get the chocolate. Yeah, he's like, I'll just get the hot chocolate at this point, which was pretty hilarious because after that banter back and forth and Yuri is hundreds of years old, she still acts like a child, which is kind of cute to see. So Yuri goes to visit another princess who is in her room, and she's the true gamer of the princesses, which is an esteemed title to have. And I believe her name comes up in a second. Or I may have missed it here. I'm gonna backtrack a second here. Nope.
I think it's actually later. If I'm not
Is it later?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna keep going. So anyway, they have a conversation. So basically, the gamer princess is basically like, all right, I already know why you came here. It's because of the guy who died 5 years ago in the tower, and you're looking for him, obviously referencing Bam.
Yeah.
And, Yuri is like, he's not dead. I know he's not dead. He wouldn't just die like that. So Yuri wants him or her to find him because strictly she thinks he's super handsome. So, I mean, like,
and I'm not gonna lie, bro. After meeting Bam again, I get her. I get it.
Yeah, I wonder if her perspective would change after meeting him again.
Oh, I hope it doesn't.
No, you hope it doesn't, but like it's interesting because he's a completely different person,
Yes, he is.
But
yeah. So anyway, so this is where the real story begins, and it's bothering me that I apologize. We just read her name before, but it's a lot going on, so I forgot her name. I'm calling her Gamer Princess for now. Somebody clarify that for me. But anyway, so this says this is where the real story begins. The boring times are over, and now it's time for them to appear soon. The Prince of Jahad. And when we were reading this, we were like, what? We're like, this is fucking crazy.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because it almost also feels a little meta. Like it's literally harkening to like, all right, like not that season 1 was particularly boring, but it's like, all right, setup's done. Like, let's get into some crazy shit now, like the prince coming in and on all the other shit. Look at that. Who's Roda, that gamer princess?
All right, fair enough. See, it's not just me. A gamer princess.
Somebody was saying that in our live stream too. They were like, oh, you can read like the first 3 comments. It's usually not spoilers. And then someone was like, nah, it's all spoilers. And it's like, no shit. Of course it's all spoilers.
So this was cool because we literally have a floating
TI-84.
Fucking TI-84 calculator up here.
You've worked in an electronics place too long when you can name the model calculator instead of just calling it a calculator.
I'm not proud, but it's...
Or
obviously
otherwise,
it's a T184.
Yeah, otherwise known as the 20th floor of the tower as well. And I'm actually also realizing why this keeps on doing that, because I think somebody was stepping on a wire.
Oh, is that somebody meaning me?
Yeah, okay. Good enough. Not good enough. It's crooked, but it's all right. Don't pay too much mind. Anyway, this place is where the regulars are sorted out, blah, blah, blah. So we get through that we basically establish that there is... that the 20th floor is like another floor, kind of like the initial ones, to like weed people out, right? So it's like, okay, if you can even make it past the first floor or whatever, like you don't even get the fuck out, go home, right? But now it's like, okay, you're hot shit. You made it past like test number 1. Congratulations, right? And you're kind of skirting through, but now it's like we get to 20 and it's like, okay, now we just bumped it up like a whole new level here. Basically everyone from 20 and up at this point is going to be, generally speaking, badass, although it's questionable.
It's funny because you say that, but yet there is still people who are trying to just skirt by and
well, that's the thing. Is like, it's not like the tower, to me, at least from what we've read, never feels like it gets to this place of like, all right, from floor 21 and up, it's everybody is just a giant monster that wants to fight. Where it's like, there are people I feel like who logistically could get to the top of this tower just off of like intellect and like strategy and like planning shit, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't necessarily have to be strong. It definitely helps, but it's like as we'll see soon, there are people who can get by just off of fucking luck.
Yeah, and that's why they have different roles too, which kind of like emulate that, like the lighthouse role. You know, like that's the only way Rachel will fucking get through without like lifting a finger. You know, and stuff like that. Like,
yeah. And we also realize that there is a currency, kind of like before. But the currency is needed in order to take the test even, right? Correct, so if you fail it, even if you didn't die, you have to almost pick up like a part-time job or a real job. Because you could literally just live on the 20th floor theoretically, right? Like you don't have to, because each floor from what we've been able to surmise here is like a literal state, like the size of whatever,
a city,
a literal city or whatever. Like you could just live there, but obviously the higher you go, the more extravagant things get.
Exactly.
So you could just chill and have a job and sit pretty if you want to, but it takes money to get into these tests again, and they're not easy, right? So they explain that, and obviously with that comes loan sharks, essentially, right? So we have the lurker squad here, the lurker cash. Regular test credit, exchangeable for points, special loan, we support your dream. Which I thought was funny, right? And we get introduced to those guys in a second, but it makes sense that these people are getting scammed and like there's a whole fucking system to it, right? Yeah. So now we meet a very interesting character and one that I really like a lot. And we get introduced to him as the prince, essentially, or at least self-proclaimed prince of Jahad, which was, really interesting.
Who he reminds me of? Star-Lord. From the Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, because he's this guy who 100% thinks he can be the next prince, and nobody knows who the fuck this nigga is or cares like about him at all. He's like this guy who's got so much confidence and so much shit on himself for seemingly no possible reason,
in a way,
like totally. I don't know. I get that. Like that's literally who that.
I can see that. Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's freaking hysterical, and I already love him. Right, so he's like, I'm going to be the king of this tower. Immediately, just gets burnt to a fucking crisp by this psychopath. And I'd like to point out in our live streams, I don't know who it was specifically, but shout out if you're watching. Somebody was saying that in Korea, if someone wears a flower in their hair, that kind of signifies that they're crazy.
So something like that? I don't know. I don't think it's like the person who's putting the flower in their hair is like, I'm putting this in my hair to let people know I'm crazy. I think it's a social perception in Korea that if you see somebody wearing, like, it's like, oh, that person's wearing a flower. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's like a social label thing, not so much like.
Interesting. Is that gender specific? Do you know?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
At least that's not what the.
That's what I was curious because like here, like it's not like obviously it's a different culture and stuff like that. Like
It's no, I don't think. But I think it is more of like a social labeling thing and not like these like. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing that because nobody's like walking around like trying to make themselves look crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, then we get introduced exactly to who he is, and his name is Wangnan Ja, future king of the tower, fails the 20th test floor. So this is a very interesting perspective now, right? Because first of all, we didn't even know that there was such thing as a prince of Jahad, right? We were just under the assumption that it was princesses, and being that these people live for God knows how long, almost indefinitely, unless you could kill them. It was just like, okay, Jahad's chilling until he gets axed, right? So it's like, it's interesting that there is a prince, and it's interesting to try and take into account what that actually means, right? Is he blood related? Does Jahad even consider him a prince? Does he, you know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of things at play, which I think are interesting to talk about.
I definitely think it's more of like he's calling himself a prince, but that label's not real. Like he's the guy who's like, I'm gonna be the next prince, and he wants to be, and who knows, he might be. But as of right now, I don't think anybody in the tower considers him to be the next prince or. Didn't
the gamer girl say something about the prince? She's like, I can't wait for his arrival because of something. So
but I don't think she was talking about.
But that's what I mean. Like, does she have? I wonder if she has a clue on who the prince is.
And it's interesting because they refer to him when they introduce him as future king of the tower. You know what I mean?
But I think that's
that might be in his mind.
Yeah,
like that's his
more
thought
like self-indulgent and not like.
Like scroll down a little bit. I think it's literally him.
No,
I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it feels more like the author being like you know what I mean? Wang here, the future king, failed the 20th test. You know what I mean? Like sort of poking fun at him.
I don't know. Regardless, though, he is a really funny character, just in general, and we gravitated towards him almost immediately when he came in because he's just provides this comedic relief, and he also has this like Shibasu vibe, about him. But it's like his confidence is so overwhelming. But then, you know what I mean? But then at times he's like just willing to just give up on all morals and self-pride.
Well, so what's funny though, is people were so quick to comment, or I mean, this is like the number one comment I hear with Rachel in defending her is that they're like, oh, well, I like Rachel because she's the most human character of the bunch. And it's like, well, I would say the same thing about Wang. here, but Wang I like more, and I think he's a more relatable character because he's still real. Like, he has all the ups and downs that like people do, but he's not like Rachel is just still is way more on the spectrum of like a shit person than a normal regular person, right? Normal people aren't like that level of devious 24/7, right? It's like weaved, like literally in the chapters we read, the first test, when he retakes his test, and he's like sitting on the floor, and he's like, oh, fuck, I gotta kill these people, I gotta fight them, and then they come and he's like, well, hold on, maybe I could work with you, like, you know what I mean?
It's a catch-22.
Exactly, yeah. So like this strikes me more as like what I would perceive as like a relatable person.
Yeah. Interesting. So anyway, he's ice packing up and shit after his has failed test because that chick lit him on fire with the fucking flamethrower. And that's when the loan sharks come in, right? The lurker. And Lurker and Cash assistant manager comes in and essentially is like, all right, fucker, like payment's up. And and you know, he's just like, ah shit, and tries to escape to no avail, right? Because he's just like some normal dude. When you're dealing with spectral arms that come out of the floor, it's like you're a little outmatched, my guy. But he basically is like, okay, you're fucked. And he's like, all right, I'll pay you everything. I swear, like whatever you want. Like, you know, I'm not giving up. Like, I got this. And so he's like, okay, I'll give you one last chance. And whether that was pre-planned to give him a last chance, or he was just feeling bad, or he wanted to see how it turned out, regardless, he's like, sure, that's fine. But you got to sign this agreement that basically if you fail, we get to take every vital organ in your body, which essentially just means we kill you.
And they're literally taking every single vital organ of this body. He checkmarked every single box.
And he refers to it as a diet, which is pretty funny. And, you know, obviously Wang is like, fucking, well, that sucks. But you know what? Like, I got to sign. I literally don't have a choice. Like, I have to go up. And again, really respectable on Wang's part because, it makes me like him. You can't help for me but like a character like that that's like, okay, because theoretically he could live out the rest of this at the 20th floor, right? He could like, you know, he can get a job, he could try and pay back his loans, whatever. And it's like, but he's like, nope, I'm signing this thing that will literally kill me and stake this on my final chance on this. And call it stupid or call it brave, but I think it definitely makes for an interesting character. And I think that it's cool that he is willing to burn every single bridge behind him in order to be like, it's all or nothing. Like, this is it. I find it respectable personally. But anyway, so he says, but he agrees, obviously. And so the guy leaves. I can't remember his name. The lurker assistant manager.
Kim.
What's that?
Lurker Kim.
Kim. Okay. Perfect. Kim. Okay. So Kim leaves. And we get what appears to be a food delivery guy, just like some other rando. And,
he got noodles.
Yeah. Comes in and talks to Wang for a bit. And I don't know if it's implied that they live together or something like that they're friends. They kind of go over this for a minute when they see each other later in the test. And
I think it was just harkening back to this moment.
Okay.
Because in this moment, he said, he's talking about the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm working a job. Like, I'm not really worried about taking the test again. Like, that's just hard. And then he sees him in the test and he's like, wait a minute, you told me you weren't taking the test. Like, what happened? And he's like, oh, well, I just got, you know, like, so
Sure.
I think this is the moment that they were referring to.
Yeah. So, anyway, so then Wang kind of gives him this heartfelt speech, right? If you don't try and chase your dreams, if you don't try and just, you know, put everything on it, you know, shouldn't be like that where you have to get this, you know, this survival, right? Survive until the next paycheck or whatever, or like, oh, this part-time job. He's like, shouldn't be like that. You know, he's like, you got to try as much as you can. If not, you'll never find the real you, which was cool. And then he, you know, he refers to his ring of Jahad here, has the crest in it. I thought that was a cool shot because it almost looks like Yuri's tie. It's like, it almost looks like it's like wax on there or something. I just thought that was an aesthetically cool thing. Anyway, so then you know, the delivery guy kind of, you know, takes a liking to him and he's like, sure, I'll give you a coupon. Like, next one's on me. So it's funny. Then immediately we get Wang and he's like, you know what I mean? He's like, fucking, you know, he's like, yes, when I become king, like you'll get this,
he gets his own shop.
Yeah, exactly, right? Anyone who's done him a nice deed. So then we get into the next test, which essentially makes it so that there are 10 total contestants. There are 5 separate rooms and 10 contestants per room for a total of 50 people. At least this is how I think I got it right here. And basically one person per room, each different rooms, will go into said room every 3 minutes. And if you if you survive for 30 minutes, regardless of when your time is to go in, you could be the 4th person in, the 10th person in, the 1st person in. It's chosen at random. You know what I mean? Like, you will advance upstairs, and all the people that are survived out of the 50 from the various 5 rooms will ascend via the elevator to the next test. So this is so generally speaking, like most people will go in and just slaughter each other, right? Or try and coin some sort of strategy to be like, let's team up, we'll take out this guy because we don't want 2 strong people to pass because then it's going to be harder for us later. And there's like a whole strategic element to it. So obviously, Wang couldn't have foreseen what the fuck is going to happen on his floor at all. So
even a little bit.
he gets in, he's like ready to roll, right? He's like, it's like this, he's like puffing his chest up like a puffer fish type thing, but it's like he knows that he's screwed if anyone remotely powerful comes, is across that. So who does he see? The one and only Bam, whose name is changed, which we will later get into. But pretty crazy, right? Because it's been roughly 5-6 years now since we've seen
like
Bam.
The happy Bam that we remember.
Ooh, he does not at all. Yeah, which is very interesting.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, all he did was grow some hair. Nothing changed.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I know.
So Wang comes in and notices that these 2 dudes are just straight up dismantled right off the rip. Bam,
First off,
killed them.
Like, Bam's drip. Can we just a couple seconds? Like, damn, mine. Like he trained, right? He fucked some niggas up. He was ready to roll out here and just climb the tower. They were like, Bam, my nigga, you can't leave looking like. Come back, come here. I got my boys out here. We're gonna fit you out. You gotta look like you just gotta drip with sauce. And damn, if he's not dripping with sauce.
He's not dripping with sauce. So he's got the symbols on his leg, which we'll get into later as well. So then this one is to be continued. So then, anyway, we get into the next chapter where this is a funny one, right? Because this whole time it's like this inner monologue in Wang's head where it's like, okay, shit. This guy's really powerful. I need to think of something fast, right? It's like he's hanging on by a thread each time. And like literally the littlest modicum of like chance or like weird shit can like throw by and like totally knock him. He's literally just going with the flow. Like he's going with the waves at this point. He's not trying to fight against them or unless he has to, but it's like
to like adapt to the situation.
He has to be, right? Because he's just so utterly outclassed. So he's going through this like mental thing in his head where he's like, oh my God, like clearly this guy's way more powerful, but like I'm going to be a skeleton. If I don't, I will die. So like I have to do this. He's having these things. And then basically, Bam just sits down, right? He's just like, okay, I'm gonna go pop a squat over here. And which is interesting, right? Because he killed the first 2 people. You assume that he did anyway, right? Coming through the door, and then he chooses to sit and then later waits, which we'll get into in a moment. But I have to wonder if that was intentional, like if he knew that Wang was someone important, or he genuinely, or he didn't care, or if he was getting bored, or if he was waiting for strong people to come
If I'm
in.
being honest, I don't think it really matters, to be honest. Like, at the end of the day, he has the mindset that he's going to wipe anybody who comes in. At what time, it honestly doesn't matter. It's more or less irrelevant.
I think it might be something that's more like you catch him in the mood, because something tells me that whatever those 2 poor niggas that approached him earlier,
probably ran up on him.
Exactly.
Like,
let's assume that they provoked his
okay.
hand to where like this guy clearly doesn't initially strike Bam as a threat, so he's like, all right, I'll ride this out and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, they sit down and basically Wang is like, all right, got it. We'll just team up. Next guy who comes in, we'll fuck him up together, right? So he's like, all right, Bam, ready? Or, he's like, all right, guy, ready? All right, 3, 2, 1. Fuck. And then fucking, what's his name? Speedy Feets?
Yep.
So this is our new nickname for this guy because he has these like, you'll see in a minute why we call him Speedy Feets. Plus Gavin has a beautiful mind. So anyway, Speedy Feets comes through the fucking door and stares him down, and Wang again, just feeling completely outmatched, just like, all right, so I guess we're going to go sit down again because Bam didn't do anything, and here we are. And we keep on getting these scenes.
This is like literally the best few panels in the entire
it's fucking amazing. So we keep on
we've
going
read.
through, and every person who comes through, Wang is trying to talk himself into fighting them. So he's like, okay, next one, we're doing it, right? So then the guy will come in, he's like huge or jacked, and he's like, okay, we'll wait for the next one. He's not attacking me, right? Then he'll come in and it'll be like a little girl. And he's like, I can't beat up the girl. And then
she's
the
in
next
uniform.
The next girl comes back and he's like, you're not in uniform, you're going down. And then they're friends or whatever. And he's like, dude, I can't win here. Like, what the fuck is happening? He's getting so frustrated. It was hysterical. So he starts yelling at them, and then he makes the one girl cry. Meanwhile, we see Speedy Feets has got the hots for one of them. And he's like, dude, I don't know what the fuck to do right now. Like, I'm just so lost at what's going on. And they're like, listen, dude, all we have to do is live 30 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter how many there are, like whatever.
Kill nobody.
And, Wang is just in this mindset where he's like, okay, yeah, but if we don't kill the strong guys and whatever. But it's funny because, like Wang the whole time, it's like, Wang, dude, beggars can't be choosers, my guy. You know what I mean? Like, if they're all going to let you get away with it,
I think only the strong niggas get to make the decision of whether we should be fighting or not.
Exactly.
You're not one of them. Just
exactly.
Yeah, which is funny, right? And he comes to that realization, I think, a little later when he's like, "Oh, they're fighting." Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's a good thing. But it's funny because he's like so stuck in this mode. So again, he goes up to the door, and we got Foilhead, or fucking Voldemort, as some people in chat called him during the stream here. Yeah. This guy's interesting, right? Because you could tell he's like kind of a slime ball, but he's like, maybe not, you know what I mean? Like, you could tell he's like definitely in it for himself, or like he's not stupid. He's got street smarts, but he's like, I don't know. He's an interesting character is all I have to say. I found him interesting out of all the new people we were introduced to. I found him one of the most interesting. So he comes to the door, and I think big guy over here, Speedy Feats, knows that he's fucking that he's dangerous, right? Because he immediately, and like, I think that's something that can be, I would wager I would be pretty accurate in saying that once you're strong enough, like, you're able to sense how powerful someone is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Coming through. I could be like wrong.
Power level.
Yeah, but like you can just tell. Thing where it's like, oh, like it's a Shinsu thing coming off. Yeah, something like that. And clearly, you know, he's like, okay, this guy's bad news. So so this guy comes through, and again, Wang keeps greeting everyone at the door, and he's like,
take your hat?
Okay.
May I take your hat, sir?
Yeah, right.
Literally.
So this guy again kind of has some of the more interesting dialogue with Wang, right? Because it's not just a and then sits or like, oh, we're here for fun. He's like, okay, like, yeah, I see what's going on here, and like, there's some strong people, and like, you know, all we have to do is make it to the next, but like, there are some strong people, so you sure you want that? Mm-hmm. Wang's like, yeah, I think you're right. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what do we do? Blah, blah. So then he's like, okay. He's like, why don't we have a vote? And he's like, the top two that get voted in will go up, right? And he's like, okay, vote. And he's like going over everyone. It's like, okay, who gives you the right, this, that, and the third, right? This is funny because Wang's like, Foilhead, one for you, right? Because I guess he notices that he's like smart, but maybe not the best decision. Who knows? And then so they go down, and then he's like, you know, going through the whole bullshit. He's like, all right, everyone's going to vote. They're going to do this thing. And then Bam is like, no need for the vote. They're like, why? He's like, because you're all going to fail the test.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. What you mean, like, what do you mean? And basically Bam later says, they all look at him and they're like, okay, you're going to eliminate us? Are you serious? And they're like, okay, like, let's rock. So fucking Voldemort pulls out his fucking umbrella like the Penguin, and Bam immediately karate chops that shit away, which is a really cool shot. And immediately you could tell how powerful Bam is, right? Because he's just like blasting waves, and he's like fucking swinging for the fences and stuff like that. And then this fight ensues, which is really cool. And again, we have Wang on the outside, like
sort of like narrating, but also sort of being like you're inside into like what's going on here.
Yeah, exactly. Because at first he's like, what is this guy thinking, like attacking him, right? And then, you know, this guy comes up behind him, and he goes to fight him too. And Wang's like, what are you, nuts? But then these guys all come to the realization that it's like, okay, this guy's super powerful. And Wang's like, okay, now I got to fight him or whatever. Say, wait a minute, but if I let these guys fight him, you know, and it's like this whole internal thing. He's trying to like think of the best situation, right? While the other people are just not even, the girls are just not even paying attention.
Like, we're actually just going to sit in the back and let this shit play out.
Like at all. They could care less. Like Bam could have been like, I'm going to kill you after these guys. And they're, whatever, we're just here for fun. So this fight ensues, and we kind of get to see these new abilities that these guys have. So throughout the fight too, Voldemort here basically is using this umbrella thing, and he can blast what seems to be like a Shinsu beam or a beam of some sort, and he keeps on fucking with the big guy, Speedy Feats, because he's like, oops, almost missed, because like at this point, I don't think he fully grasps how powerful Bam is yet. Yeah. Like he's strong, but
he's like just kind of a little bit of like an anarchist. Like he's not really taking any sides. He just kind of wants to fuck with everybody.
Exactly. So he's like, whoops, you know, and the big guy's just not too fucking satisfied about it, because he's like, okay, like here we go. So he goes, that jerk, and this is where he got the name Speedy Feats, by the way, because we saw this in Gavin's, like, it's Speedy Feats, and we're like, what? Well, that's
I don't really even know if that's what's happening, but like, so it's just interesting that like you interpret it that way, because you could be right, but it's like there's nothing in here that definitively screams he's now moving at the speed of light.
I don't know what would give it away. Maybe the boot with the fucking wings hanging off of it.
Yeah, but like you don't know that now he's running super fast.
Why would you go to that extent to put a fucking boot with the wing on it? Like, what are you, 2 times?
What if he's floating, bro?
2 times.
Wings make you fly.
I don't know. I'm going with fast.
I like speedy feet.
I like speedy feet. So anyway,
whatever.
He gets up at his grill and goes to attack him because now everyone's turning on each other at this point. And Bam is like, whoa, hello. Did anyone forget that I'm the guy y'all want to fight here?
Yeah.
So it's like these two are almost forced to just team up at this rate because even if they wanted to kill each other, Bam's not even letting them because Bam's like, I don't find this fun unless it's everyone versus me at the same time. So they get into this brawl and Bam hits him with like this fucking badass looking Shinsu blast from both arms, which is sick. And they realize he's a wave controller, which again, they kind of tout in the first season that wave controllers are very strong. So it's like not everyone here is a wave controller, right? Exactly. It's not like you just fucking find one off the side of the street. So anyway, and it looks like his arms almost morphed and shit. Really cool, which we see later. There's kind of some more morphing that happens. That's when they notice that he's a Fug. He's fugly. He's part of the Fug crime syndicate, which they explain is a crime syndicate, right? The most influential crime syndicate in the tower. It has set itself against the 10 great families, and I guess that would mean Jahad as well, right? And Bam is part of them now. He's got this. They got the symbols, and they're like, so what is he doing on this floor though? Because everyone in this crime syndicate is supposed to be incredibly powerful. So, you know, we don't know, right? It could have been that he is this is his initiation through it because he says later, spoiler alert, that he's going to be one of the elite killers or whatever he says to the girl later on. And I don't know if this is like his test to do so. Like he's got to find something specifically on this floor. Maybe he backtracked. Maybe he's there.
They don't have a lot of
we don't know, right?
Backstory as to how, because they literally do a time skip, right?
Exactly.
So something in that 6 years has put him in a completely, I wouldn't say different mindset, because I actually think that his mindset is fairly similar to when we last left him, but just that clearly it's taken on much different circumstances than when we left him. You know?
He's taking a different path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get this poor soul comes in the fucking elevator.
Oh my god, he's talking about a bad day.
He's thinking he's made it, right? He's like, bro, I'm the last one. What do I got to survive? 3 fucking minutes. Literally walks in the fucking door and just gets fucking annihilated, like instantaneously.
Oh my
He's
god,
like,
dude, that face too. He's like, why is that? Oh, he's just
dead.
gone.
All I can imagine, I saw this thing on Discovery Channel once, bro, where this like female lion is chilling behind like a fucking one of those buffalo, right, or whatever the fuck, one of the water buffalo, they're like the things. And I remember seeing on this shit, I remember literally seeing, dude, this calf being born. And the female lion was literally sitting there waiting for the thing to be born. The second it was born, it literally had to sprint. Like the thing came out the womb sprinting for 30 seconds, immediately died. Like it fucking killed it. And I was like, wow. I was like, life is fucking cruel. But that's all I could think. That's all I could
Make sure you tell your children that that's how babies are born.
Dude, it was fucked up to watch. And that's all I could think of, that this guy literally didn't even have a shot at life, dude. Like it was literally a split second and he was dead. And it just goes to show how unfair this tower is in this world. You know what I mean? Like he's just like, nope, dude. Like you.
I gotta say, bro, though, like again, coming from what we know of Bam from season 1, seeing this nigga just flaunt this big dick energy, bro, and just axe niggas on sight is so refreshing to see. Oh yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, no, it is. It's crazy. So anyway, then we resume the fight. And, you know, without going too crazy into it, they're kind of showing off their powers and things like that. This guy's cool. Speedy Feeds is cool because it looks like he has different like abilities for each thing. And it doesn't seem like one of them is too overwhelmingly overpowered like on their own, but he's a lot of different tools.
I think it's whatever that blue thing is. Like I think he can shift it to different needs. So like one if he wants to move fast, one if he wants to protect. Like
it's really cool. So he's the shield, the boots, the fucking fist, all that kind of stuff. It's really sweet, right? So we get to see their powers shown off. We got the blast again. Bam is able to basically block this blast, which actually now that I'm looking at this on a close up here, it looks like he forms. It looks like he forms a little box thing here to deflect
like
it,
a shield of his own,
which is interesting. Instead of just like putting his hand up, you know what I mean, in the raw, and it's just like dispersing. I think it's interesting that he like summoned a thing to deflect it.
Well, it's probably Shinsu.
Yeah, but it's just cool that it took a form, like a physical manifestation in the block, right? So then he uses it to bounce off this guy and swing at this dude. Fucking, you know, they're just going at it, dude. He blasts that guy into the wall. So it's like you could just clearly tell these guys are outmatched. And at this point, Wang is like, okay, it's up to me. And then pulls a fucking Shibasu and just fucking hightails it out of there because he's like, what do I got? Like 50 seconds? Like, I just gotta fucking run. Like there's no way, right? So he throws a like a Shinsu bomb
A
at him.
Pokeball. Say
a literal Pokeball at him. He throws a fucking Premier Ball.
You can't hide.
Yeah, that's a straight up Pokeball.
Make that shit look like a grenade if that's what you're going for. You don't take that image and try to run that with just fucking Shinsu bomb.
Straight up. Yeah, so he throws that at him, which is relatively ineffective at all. And I would assume like Bam has just a resistance to Shinsu, like when he wants to, you know what I mean? Being that he's just fucking insane.
I think a little bit later, Wang even touts, he's like, how do those pieces of crap hurt him? Like, I think Shinsu bombs are just literally not like they're just garbage equipment.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. It seems like something you buy where it's like, take your items up to the test
it's like
thing.
Probably got
like
such an actual small amount of harmful Shinsu in it that it won't actually hurt anybody.
Like, that's all he could afford. And so
it's
fucking
like a scare tactic, if anything.
He's running away. There's 50 seconds left. Fucking gets grabbed by the horn, slammed down. Those horns seem like they're just a pain in the ass.
And in a really weird spot, too.
I know.
I've never really seen horns
hella
on like the back of your neck.
Can you imagine there's like some crazy shit where it's like incredibly advantageous and he like fucking they grow behind his head and like start fighting
people. How do you put a shirt on in the morning, dude? I'd fucking rip them every day. You're like, oh, fuck, there you go.
Like, how you take a shower? You always cutting your hands
dude,
on those
for real.
things.
Like, go to fucking
that does seem incredibly inconvenient,
very
actually.
inconvenient.
Yeah. So anyway, Bam goes to fucking finish him off here, and he throws another bomb at him, one of these other shitty bombs, right? And this one works for some reason, and you really don't know why. So Bam starts spitting up blood, and he fucking falls to the ground. And fucking Voldemort doesn't skip a beat. He's like, what He's like, go, what the fuck are you waiting for? He's like, this is your chance. He's like, fucking blast him, dude. Like, hit him with another one. Because, like, to be fair, this is why I kind of like the Voldemort character guy, because he's, like, very street smart. Like, he's not, like, we're not playing honor roll games here. You know what I mean?
You know why I think he's so likable? He's almost like an adult, more brazen version of Wang himself. He has almost, like, his mindset where he's a little bit smarter, but, like, still kind of plays by those same rules where it's, like, anything goes, but like also later on, you know, when he just like doesn't skip a beat to like be like, oh my god, my daughter class, like he plays like the same. He has like almost a similar.
He knows
mindset
how to like read the room.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect way of describing him. That's why I like him. There's this cool thing about him. But anyway, so he hits him again, and all of a sudden. Now Bam is like, whoa, Bam, what have you been up to the past 5 years?
Dude,
he just literally forms this like exoskeleton.
I have a theory that those Shinsu bombs didn't work on him at all. And I have a theory that whatever the fuck that thing is, like comes at a cost to use, and that's what caused him to cough up blood when he like, it was just obviously the way that it's timed makes it look that way.
Agree
but like
exactly.
I think that whatever the fuck that thing is like fucking with Bam's body or mind or whatever the fuck. And that like it's like I don't know if this is like some Kurama Naruto thing where it's like there's another demon living inside him, or if it's like this is like
maybe that gives him more power of some sort.
Yeah, or if it's like this is just a manifestation of his Shinsu and like the contract he made with the administration. I don't know what.
Well, no, because that would make sense. Because even the Shinsu that he used before, like the color and like the whole like physical entity was different, and now it's like this darkish black and blue that even spirals out differently. So it has to have some sort of.
I think he's made some contracts with some unsightly somethings.
Yeah,
something.
100%, man. So that was pretty insane, and then he gets basically fully healed, right? Because
it just heals him.
Like, it goes back into him, and he's like, I think somebody says it. He goes, he's cured. That's it. And then like the test ends. Thank God for Wang. Right?
Dude, that man. You even see it, in that panel. Like he gets so like shook when he just because he walks by him.
So they're like, all right, folks, up to the next test floor, right? And it's like always cracks me up when you probably because I could only imagine these people coming through the megaphones, like when they're like, time's up, where it's like, all right, folks, I hope everyone had fun today on the test. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, everyone's fighting for their fucking life. You know, and they're like, please take the elevator to the next floor. We hope to see
They're all like, let that nigga go by himself. Fuck if I'm getting on the elevator with him.
Facts. So they fucking let him up. So now we have a flashback again of Rachel being like, basically, here, I'll just go through it. Once upon a time, there was a person who loved the star so much. He loved it so much, he started to build a tower to reach it. People said he was crazy, but he didn't care. And he kept on building the tower by himself. And finally, he reached the star and lived forever with the star in the sky. Isn't that wonderful? And then basically he says, Rachel, and he goes, wouldn't it be lonely up there? Like being up there all alone, wouldn't it be scary and lonely? And Rachel's like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like she says, she rebuttals to him.
Dems the breaks.
Yes, that's how the cookie crumbles.
That is quite literally how she feels.
Actually, you know, I'm thinking about it now. I wonder if she's referencing Jahad when she says that.
Yeah.
You
or
think
at least
so?
that's who I think. Yeah.
Okay, well, because at first I didn't know.
Because I think she's talking about the literal creation of the tower.
Yeah.
And he was probably the one who built it.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting, though.
I don't know. I just like the symbolism behind it, because it represents both of their lives and what they're going through.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
so then we
awesome.
get up to the elevators here, and the our new squad, I guess for now, right, comes up, pops a squat, right? And they're like, okay, they're talking it through. They're kind of becoming like a little more friendly with each other. We got chocolate bars, so that's back.
True.
And it made me miss Rack and Kuhn. But this girl being so nice offers Bam one, who does take one, it seems, and they're like, that was dangerous. And she's like, yeah, but whatever. So then we have this poor fucking soul.
Dude, oh my God.
Come through the next
shit.
elevator. And again, this really puts it into perspective how like the randomness of like your floor, right? Because every other floor for the most part was like, you know what I mean? Like not how Bam's floor went down.
Everything is literally left to chance when you think about it.
Right?
You know?
Like you could
Who
just
you get
be
paired with,
in that
where
door.
you are.
You could literally be like, okay, here we go, today's test, and you get put in a door, and you got like Godzilla style motherfucker in your door where everyone gets slaughtered, or you could go in a door where everyone pops a squat.
Yeah,
and it's
or
like,
it's
let's
those
go
two
do that.
chicks, you know?
Or
exactly.
It's like you really, man. It's just luck of the draw, and like this guy on his own looks pretty fucking badass, right? But clearly not badass enough because he got fucking wrecked, which is funny because he comes up the elevator and then dies, which, man, what a kick in the dick, right?
Although it's interesting, I don't know why his body disintegrated when he died, which is something...
I'm assuming it was like from whatever killed him.
I'm guessing.
Maybe
I don't
was
know.
like
It's just
some
weird.
effect
It's like a
it
weird
had.
inconsistency.
Yeah.
That's
So
like,
he basically
I wonder.
pleads for their help, and again, this is the tower, man, where Wang is just like, yeah, bro, but like,
I get this is
gotta
your
go
last
too.
leg, but I got a last leg too.
Yeah, and like that's it, and he just kind of fades away. Sucks for that guy. And Bam just looks like it's indifferent, right? And then we go back to Rachel. True, he would. I think it would be very lonely to be that high alone with the stars without friends or family. Why did he build the tower alone? It's better to be together like this. Which is what's Rachel saying. You know what I mean? Which is, you know what I mean? Again, that sting
Clearly
there.
not how she feels
and she
now.
goes, isn't it Bam? And then,
Yeah, I have a feeling that panel a while back where when the guy gets evaporated and like, the way that they time it so that right when Rachel's saying like, oh, isn't it Bam? You see him evaporate in front of Bam. I have a feeling that like part of whatever Bam's journey has been, like this isn't the first time he's had to make a decision like that. And so he, while probably more comfortable seeing it or letting it happen, is like anyway, this is just my interpretation, but I like to think that panel was like a hint that like the Bam we know is not 100% gone, right? That there is still a little bit of him that like felt something about seeing this man just die,
100%.
Yeah.
So then again, these guys come up the elevator. We just saw that one guy disintegrate. These guys come up like they just fucking stopped at the deli real quick before they fucking came up the elevator.
We just came back from a picnic.
Yeah. It's like we all had a great time down
They
there.
literally look like a family, bro.
like dead ass, dude. The fucking what the fuck? The Brady Bunch just came up the fucking elevator.
He kind of looks like aluminum. He's even got his mustache.
Who
and everything.
knows? Like at this point, dude, we got fuckers working like their part-time jobs coming up. Like, wow, how fucking lucky for you, huh?
Yeah, that's oh my god.
Didn't have
that's
to
so
go in the
funny.
gladiator one where you just get disintegrated. Which is interesting though because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, and there's 10. So it's like, how the fuck did 3 of you fail when these are the people came up? Whatever. I'm not questioning it. Maybe one of these people are a sleeper because as we see in a little bit when they do the Shinsu test, there's some people don't sleep on them.
Just because
right?
you don't
It's
look
not-
intimidating
It's
doesn't
not
mean you're not
looks, dude.
intimidating.
It's not look. Like who knows? This guy in the middle might be the most powerful
Yeah,
motherfucker.
that
we
fuzzy
just don't
nigga
know.
in the corner.
Well,
My
he's
money's
going to
on
be
him.
some of relevance because he actually has fucking facial features other than that guy. Everybody else, they have fucking slits and not even a mouth.
Fucking
Like,
crazy. So then he reminisces with Wang for a second, and fucking then the next folks come up the tower, or I'm sorry, up the elevator here, and we got the flamethrower chick again, who's being basically like fucking molested by fucking the
bull cut over
Prince,
here.
that's his name.
yeah, by Prince, who's just the total worst. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's one of the characters you immediately off the
Literal
ripper,
dick,
just like,
yeah.
fuck you, man. Like, I hope you just get annihilated. So, anyway, we go into the next arc here, and we get how much of a piece of shit he is, and we figure out that this girl is from the Yan family. As well, excuse me. Which, another 10 great families. She's very powerful. And we have even this guy. We got fucking
The lead.
Kim.
Kim, thank you.
Kim.
Kim coming up again from the fucking
Lurch.
from Lurker
yeah.
fucking
Lurker,
thing or
Lurcher.
whatever, and it's like, what are you doing up here? He's like, oh, this is my boss's kid. I'm coming up with him. We hired some mercenaries. And like, this is what we're doing, right?
ever
So
so casually.
And I
then
just
I'm-
imagine Wang being like, fuck, man, I cannot catch a break, bro.
For real,
Every
right?
fucking floor, it's something.
And that was their test arena, right? Where it's like, again, random. They come in, there's like 5 of them already, and it's like, oh, we coincidentally all got put on the same fucking thing, so we're just gonna fuck all 5 of you up. It's like, dude, come on. Like, what the fuck? So, and then this chick, just because she's attractive, I guess, by his terms, like, makes it up, and hey, whatever works, right? That's why Yuri likes Bam. Anyway, and then we get to the entourage of the lurker scam organization and the boss's kid, right? And so we kind of go through some of the people that they're taking up, the mercenaries or gun for hire, if you want to call it. So we get to this guy on the left here. His name is Rob Devil. Badass, I have to say. I mean, just straight up, like, his fucking character design to me is really sick. And it's interesting, right? Because they go, that guy was incredibly expensive. I heard he even beat HOTS in a fight, and they use HOTS in quotes, which obviously means that HOTS has made a name for himself, at least for people from floors 1 to 20, right? At this point, which is really cool because, again, HOTS isn't from one of the 10 great families. So to see him kind of, you know, strut his stuff and be a name that's known, you know, and equally so for this guy to fucking beat him, you know what I mean, in a fight, is no joke.
I said this before in our live stream, but it makes me like, now I'm like, oh man, I want to see like what's going on with everybody, like where they are at and what, you know, because it's like,
oh dude,
clearly they've been through some shit, you know.
Yeah. So then we go through and they introduce us to the Yon as well, the girl, and how crazy she is. So then comes in Love, who's the test administrator, who's really awesome. I love his shirt here. It says Chicken Love. What is that?
Club.
Chicken Love Club. I don't know why, but like, sure, I think that's awesome. He says, you know, my name is Love. I'm in charge of this test. So he basically says, okay, here's the test. I also love how they just plug the shit out of Quant through this entire thing.
A literal spokesboard.
It says hit me written in Times New Roman, which means I'm damn serious. It's just fucking great. So basically Love brings out a literal arcade machine, right? Where it's like, test how strong your punch is. Like, that's literally the test, but I guess, you know, for Shinsu, they're just trying to find who the strongest is. So he says, basically, there's 20 of you, and the top 8, or there's 18 or whatever, and he's like, the top 8 of you are going to advance to the next round. Go ahead, right? So we clearly get people that know they're less capable bitching about it. We get the internal monologues from Wang again. He's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? He's like, it's over. We're done. So this is cool because we kind of get a decent gauge as to like where power levels are here without explicitly fighting, right? Which is kind of a cool way of putting it. Although, you know, the punch isn't the biggest thing at the end of the day, but it definitely gives us a cool indicator.
I saw somebody in our live stream in the chat wrote, I didn't want to mention it at the time while we were reading it because I wanted to get us, you know, I wanted to get to the end of it, but they said, just for reference and scale, this test, if a ranker just touched one of the panels, that like the numbers would go, I don't remember exactly, but like into like the triple digits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were like, just for scaling on how strong rankers typically are in reference to somebody.
Okay, that's cool, right? So, the power just grows exponentially. So anyway, this little prick here, the boss's kid, Prince makes a fucking bet, and he's like, I'll just take this girl and give her to whoever wins. It's like, okay, is she your property to begin with? No, dick. But obviously he's got her by the balls, so to speak, you know, in some way, shape, or form, because she owes them money, right? She fucking torched all of her teammates. She didn't pass, and she's got to take the test again, right? So they even make a comment where it's like, even the great families can get swayed by money, you know? Like, it doesn't, you know, it's a cruel bitch. Anyway, so he's like, okay, let's make a game out of this. Whoever gets the highest score can take her. So this guy so Speedy Feet steps up to the plate, whacks the thing, and you're like, okay, 63-50. Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty good, right? And he takes first place out of everyone who's gone so far. So then everyone else comes up, right? And each one by one, they keep on just topping the previous score. And like, by doubling it, you know what I mean? Each time you're
it's
like,
not even like 10 higher, you know? It's like,
so then we got the Devil's Right Arm, or Rob Devil, that comes up, starts talking shit. And he, again, sweet fucking character design. Who do they compare this to from Bleach? You were saying somebody?
Oh, Chad. Yes.
Yeah,
definitely,
Chad.
Definitely
fitting
Chad.
name. He's a Chad. So he fucking just turns his arm into the Devil's Right Arm and fucking thwacks that shit hard as fuck. Hits goes about double of what Speedy Feet hit. So then we, you know, the little guy's being cocky about it, and he's like, well, you guys are screwed. So then up next comes the girl, right? And she's like, all right, bet. So she goes up and slips and eats it, which is funny, but still doubles the devil's right arm score, which is like, what?
Fuck.
You know, like, you are strong, which
Yep.
again, I was saying before, this gives us a decent indicator of where power levels are, but I would say she's a contingency because we don't know what exactly she would have got if she
Exactly.
hit that shit full speed.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one, right? So he's like, you know, like whatever, but then he regains his confidence, the prince, because he beats it. But not by a large margin, which makes me think that there's something to be said potentially that she would have been able to beat him if she had gotten
like had she gone
let loose
full
on
out,
that.
yeah.
But she's clearly outnumbered, right? Because he has a band of mercenaries, and like just because she's
Exactly.
stronger than Prince himself, there's a whole political thing to this
Sure,
going on. So
sure.
she can't just beat his ass. And this is funny because we got like these hype men
Yeah.
hype up Prince here who's like, yeah, like, do it, wow, you really did it. That was funny.
Chicken love. over
So,
here.
yeah, right. So my man loves chicken. So she's like, give me another shot, please, or whatever. 'Cause she thinks she's screwed now, right? And again, this is why I like Voldemort here, because he just cracks me up, because it's not like, right, you said you guys are losers. He does the whole thing, and you think, okay, is he next? Like, is he gonna hit the
Right.
thing? And it's like, no. He's not pumping himself up. He's like, no. You're all idiots because of that guy, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's got
Again,
enough.
he knows how to
smarts
read the room.
know.
He knows he's not the strongest person in this room, and he knows that
Exactly.
like these guys here are basically having a quarrel amongst themselves, right? They're not even really interacting with anybody from the previous group, and they're like,
Exactly.
"We're obviously gonna win this. Like, look at this." And it's like, no, y'all didn't see what I saw.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he was playing hopscotch.
Man just
in
lit
your
up a room with his
Exactly.
fucking fingers, bro.
Yeah, so he's like, no, just watch. So Bam goes up to the plate and literally just puts his palm against it and blasts the whole machine away, and literally beats the highest score, which was Prince at the time, by like over 100,000. Which again, this like exponential growth in
Yeah.
power. You know what I mean? It just gets like crazier as you go, and the fact that there are so many zeros there makes it like, okay, like what's our ranker at? You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like.
yeah.
Pretty crazy stuff, right? Like we have a lot. It's cool because it opens the floor for like a lot of room to go, a lot of room to grow, right? And it doesn't. And it's cool because you're already getting the precedent set. So like sent across that it's not going to be this like crazy power creep, because you already knew that these characters were grossly underpowered comparatively speaking to what they're
But
going to go against.
What I think is even cooler is that with a show or story like this, is I don't like numbers are just numbers, right? I don't think that these numbers inherently always make whatever character is above another character inherently better, because we know that there's so many other variables that play into you succeeding and getting ahead in the tower other than your literal strength.
I mean, not to mention, this test is also for primarily Shinsu. You know, like you have all these different roles that take account into other
That's true,
perspectives,
yeah,
like that
yeah.
you're talking about. So it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
just off of Shinsu,
It's
no
not
shit. The
gospel.
wave controller, who's like super OP, is gonna have the highest score.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
you know,
makes sense.
relatively.
So Love recognizes that he uses a specific technique called the
Yep.
floral butterfly piercing technique, and which must be something specific to Fug, because
Yeah.
he says that, and then we see, or beforehand we saw Bam's garments there. So Love
Right.
is like, okay, like,
something's going on. here with
yeah,
this guy.
well, I don't trust him and I don't like him. So he's like, all right, test is over. Go ahead, yeah.
I wonder if that red exoskeleton that comes out of him, I wonder if that is what the butterfly piercing thing is. It would kind of make sense, like that.
Maybe
in itself,
or if
is
it's like
called
something
it.
that Fug does is almost like some Yakuza shit where they chop off your pinky. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this is this power we give to you, but like it comes at a price. type
Exactly,
thing.
yeah, and it probably has like a certain look or something to it, but I think
Yeah.
that's what that like entity or whatever you want to call it is inside of him.
I don't know. There's a lot of
Interesting.
things to
Theory.
throw around there. Theory. Let me just specify that. Theory. Anyway, so Love is like, okay, like I'm just the administrator though. Like regardless of what he is or where my allegiances lie, like I have to do my job here. So we got our boy Wang taking a cool 15th in this test. So he's just like, I'm fucked. That sucks. It's just like
Wait, what was his score?
it was 15.
15. Yeah, it's like when like in class, like when someone's like, "These were the top 3 students," and like you're not even on the board.
No,
You're like,
just like, God. So he's like crying to himself over here, and then the other girl's crying to herself, right? Because they were clearly the bottom rung, and it's like, okay, rightfully so. You guys
Yeah.
are like normal people.
yeah,
It's like,
pretty much, yeah.
don't beat yourself up too much, I guess. But so now it gets interesting, right? Because he's like, okay, that's it. Like, we're done. And he's envious of Bam because he's like, must be nice. Must
Yeah.
be fucking nice to, to have all this latent ability and just be OP as hell, while my only cool
Yeah.
thing is I have horns on the back of my head that rip my shirts when I put them on. You know, it's
Exactly.
like, that sucks.
Yep.
So he's kind of sulking to himself. But then we kind of get a twist to the test where we read this and we were like, what? Right? So basically, Love comes up and he says, yeah, the whole top 8 thing, No. The top 1 gets to pick 7. That's the top.
Which I love that they do this because you see this kind of shit in season 1 where technically he didn't lie. That is the rule. The top 8 people will probably, because again, the specification is the idea that whoever is top 1 would probably want to pick the other top 7. So technically, yes, the top 8 are the ones that get to leave. It's just not as cut and dry as he, you know what I mean? So it's like, I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool where it had that spin on the test. So anyway, you know, Bam is trying to get a word in edgewise until
this is actually the other great
until fucking Wang just lets loose, man. No shame at all. He's just like, let me introduce myself, you know, and like he has this internal monologue like, I can't give up. Like this is my shot. I literally don't have another shot. I will die if this is it. So I gotta just do whatever I can. And just again, he's just like, you know, if I do this, the era of the 10 great families will end with me. He's like, you won't regret it. I could dance, I could sing, I'm an entertainer. He's basically like a bard. He's like, you know, he's like, nobody's cuter than me, which I thought was a funny one. And then he goes, my name, as I said, is Wang, or whatever, which was freaking great. So then Bam's just like, cricket.
Are you done?
And then he's like, okay, that didn't work. He's like, please, you can choose me. I will do anything for you. He's like, I will lick your boots. I will do whatever you want. Like, just please, right? So then some of the guys make fun of him. It's like, dude, do you have no pride? Until, again, right? He's just about to say something. And then our man Voldemort comes over, which is why I love this guy. Again, because Gavin was saying it before. He's like, well, shit, Wang's onto something here. I might as well give it a shot, right? I can't just stay silent. So he comes over and he's like, he pulls the whole, I have a daughter. Please choose me. Like, I just see her. And like, who knows? He might
No,
not.
he doesn't. Look at that face. He doesn't have a daughter. Wang's like, you're an asshole. You're lying. He's like, fuck.
Yeah,
or if he does, he definitely doesn't care about it.
Good point. Yeah. So that was hilarious. So then they start yelling at each other, and then you get Speedy Feet over here, which is like the last guy I expected to just grovel, you know? And he's like, fuck it. Then you get the girl crying, dude.
Everybody.
It's so funny, too, because then this chick thinks she's like hot shit. Jan is just like, you guys are all begging. He's going to want people that are strong. And then Wang just throws her to the bus. She tortures her own teammates. She tortures her own teammates. And Bam is just sitting there like, dude, I don't want any of you. And she's just like, they're arguing with each other. And she's like, what makes you think? And she's like, because I have big boobs. That's why I'm going up the fucking tower. And she's like,
and then he looks, he's like, big boobs.
Yeah, and she's like, if I got it, I'ma flaunt it. And that's what I'm doing. And Wang's like, oh yeah, let me. And he just goes to fucking pull his pants down, dude. That shit was so funny because Wang, again, just on the fly, bro. He's like, shit, she's right. She does have big boobs.
He's like, you know what it is? There's nothing that this nigga's not willing to do.
Oh, dude, it's so funny,
and it's like
man.
Something about seeing that again, you know. No matter what you personally consider it as, you can't deny that it's funny as fuck to watch. It makes a great character,
dude,
and it makes such
so
a great
funny.
perspective to watch this story through, because it's like anything you're like, oh man, what he's gonna have to beg, right? And then he just does it. And it's like he'll go anywhere.
He's about to just show Bam his dick. He didn't even ask Bam. He just got so caught up in the moment that this girl with big boobs that he's like, I'll just show my dick.
I don't even think he was gonna show Bam. I think he was gonna show them.
Show them.
It's like, oh, you want to see something big?
Dude, that shit was so funny, bro.
He's got his umbrella pointed at him.
I will stab you.
Oh my gosh. And then he's like, all right, stop. Everyone relax. And then, by the way, we find out Bam's name is Viol.
Yes,
and,
Violi.
Yeah, Violi, or Ravioli, whatever the fuck. I'm calling him Viol. So he's like, please choose me, dude. He's like, I won't take out my penis, but you like
if y'all could let me get a word in, I don't fuck with none of y'all.
Yeah, right. And he basically, tells the administrator that he's like, nah, I don't choose anyone. And they're like, fuck. And the administrator's like, well, too bad I'm the fucking teacher. And
do you not read the jacket?
Yeah. You know,
I make the rules here.
Trying to strut his stuff, right? And then she's like, oh, what are you fucking hot shit? Like this symbol doesn't mean anything.
And it's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting actually, at least to me, that she refers to she's like, oh, how can you have this level of pride and this level of arrogance with that symbol that you wear, because it's fake. It doesn't mean anything. And so I think that there's like this stipulation, I mean, obviously about the group that Bam is a part of, that they're, a literal crime syndicate. But I think that like they're, he mentions it actually here a little bit later, like the gripe or the war that this syndicate seems to have with the royal family, like has to stem from like something significant. You know what I mean?
100%. So he says, because she's like, okay, this is again, which kind of alludes to my theory that it's like, he's not, it's not a fake. He's like, I am Jewel Viol Grace, a nominee for Fug Slayer. So it's like, again, I don't know if they're putting him through the ringer, if they gave him some of this power, whatever. I'm very curious to see the Syndicate and like what the rules are and why Bam's on this.
I also like, I just thought of this now. I wonder if that name that he, gave them is like, I mean, obviously we know it's not his real name, but like, I wonder if this identity is fake. Like if he's assumed the identity of this person as a way to infiltrate this group to get to, because all we know at the end of season 1 is that, what was the redhead chick's name?
Ryun
was going to help him in some way, shape, or form get to the tower. We don't know what measures he and by extension her would have to take to get him up there. But I don't see it being so far stretched to be like, all right, I'm going to get you to the top of the tower, but you're going to have to do some shit. And like one of those things might be assuming the identity of a criminal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
True. That's a good point. Everything's up in the air at this point, which is really
cool. Honestly, that's probably the safest bet, staying at it, because, I mean, the whole point of him getting to where he's supposed to go is they need to keep him under the radar of the tower administrators themselves. Right. Like, this is the only route that he can grow and not be, like, in their
Somebody
radar
in our chat even mentioned that. They were like, that's his name because Bam is dead. Like, I think the goal here is that Bam has to stay dead. He can't, because if he raises suspicion on anybody's radar, then Jahad, and all that shit.
For sure. And he basically says, I live to kill Jahad and his family, right? To the girl who's one of the 10 great families. So, and, Wang is like, I don't know exactly how I feel about that, but...
I am definitely as scared of this guy as I was.
5 panels back, he was also proclaiming that he was going to dismantle.
True.
So if anything, that plays
relevant.
into
I actually think. Well, I think he's going to choose him. Obviously, he's got to advance.
Plot armor at this point.
But I think that even if it's not stated, would be a very important reason as to why he does.
Exactly.
I could be wrong, but
maybe.
I think.
I think that like this specific panel here. Initially, I was like, oh, he's obviously scared shitless of Bam now, as he was before. But I think there might be like a weird sense of admiration that he sees in Bam.
Oh,
he's
100%.
Like, oh, this guy really is gonna like this guy wants to do what I want to do, but like he clearly has the power where he might actually do it. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So that oh no, it's not quite the end. So that's why Bam is like, you can't be my teammate. I'm your enemy. Right. So then Love is like, I've had it. So he's like, I understand. He's like, whoever you are, the rules of the exam can't be changed for the 5th fucking time.
Yeah. I love these administrator niggas, bro. They're like, I run this test and we're doing this the way I want.
Yeah, right. It's so great. They get this pumped up ego about him. So he's like, and it's the absolute rule of the tower. And most of the regulars here would be willing to make a deal with you, with the devil, to pass the test, as we've already seen. We got people ready to get naked, lick boots, like do whatever you want, dance, sing, whatever. So he's like, so how about this? He's like, you and I will play a game. And that's where the chapter ends, and thus where we ended off our reading.
Wait, scroll all the way down again to the one in the comment. They had veal in French means
Okay.
Anyway, never mind then. I was like, it means. I was like, oh, what's the?
I don't like that happened.
Well,
I hate that I know that now.
Because I kind of thought, I was like, what's because like obviously Bam had meaning like in the name, and I was like, I saw it and I was like, wait, what's the new meaning?
I don't know.
Well,
he's assumed the identity of a criminal whose name literally means rape. Well, that's nice.
Interesting.
In French.
In French. Okay,
in French,
that's not.
I
wonder
what
what the
something completely different.
Okay,
that's true.
All right, yeah.
Anyway, moving past that. So anyway, that's where we ended our reading for the live stream. Again, if you haven't seen that, and you want to refer back, it's in our go to our playlist and then live streams. It's on there, and we may be releasing highlights as well in that form. So you could check that out if that's more your style.
A lot of fun.
But it was a blast, and that's as far as we got. We're gonna try and do this based via arcs, because we've come to the conclusion that, especially doing live streams and just for editing purposes, talking purposes, any more than 10 chapters is really a stretch. Yeah. Like, that is probably the max we're going to go in one given episode, just because, especially now, there's so much room
and
to
I think
cover.
It would only be because, like, the arc we're on, like, you know what I mean, is still going, and we're like, all right, we'll take but it's like, we want to do this in a way where it's like we're giving you guys the most, but also we're not like purposely taxing ourselves. Because again, in just doing this, we still have to edit essentially 3 of these things, and then like so it's
dude.
After we do it all in one day.
After that live stream, we were fucking sweating. All 3 of us were sweating. I was screaming at the top of my lungs for half of it. It was really a blast. Like,
this room just gets hotboxed.
It was insane,
bro.
It was not. No, it was a lot of fun though. So anywhere from, I would assume, relative to where the arcs end, anywhere from like 5 to 10 chapters will be, and we'll be discussing obviously what we discuss in our live streams. as well on there. So also a quick thing too, for anyone who missed our live stream or didn't go through the whole thing, maybe they watched some highlights, we are looking for moderators as well. We already had a lot of people that volunteered via the live stream.
I think what we could do is, because we were trying to do this during the live stream and it's like kind of finicky because people are saying they'll do it, but it's like in the chat and it's moving. We'll put our email in the description of this episode.
Okay.
And if you are serious about being a moderator, like hit us up via email.
Yeah, if you're serious about it. Yeah. Like we're trying to go live as it stands right now, we're going to try and go live every Tuesday. As far as the exact time, we don't have that quite pinned yet, but we'll have that soon. Within the next week, we'll have a time pretty pinned down. So, that being a mod would mean that you're serious about trying to come in as a moderator, even if you can only come in sometimes, but you're not abusing the power. You're coming in and you're trying to make it the most friendly and just fun experience for everyone involved, because it would really help. We had like 200 plus people at some point today, and everyone was pretty civil. Yeah, I would say. It was good. I have to tip my hat. But just in case it blows up even further, we're going to need people to kind of police all that stuff. So anyway, let us know in those descriptions, and also, like I said before, but I can't stress enough, hit us up on those socials so you can know exactly when we're going live. You can participate in our polls, and that you don't miss anything. That's Twitter and Instagram are the big two. You could also hit us up on Facebook, but I would say Twitter and Instagram are the bigger ones. And definitely turn on those notifications if you haven't already on YouTube, so you'll know when we go live there. But I think that's everything we had to cover. I didn't want to leave any stone unturned here. But that's all we have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching and being along for the ride with us. But until next time, we'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Later.
Hey folks, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AoA Podcast if you want to keep up with our content or suggest new ideas for the show.
You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about all things anime.